Hey guys, middle of week 3. I hope you're doing well today. We have a well-known story today. It's the story of the Good Samaritan. Before we jump into that, I want you to think back to Sunday, to David's message. David talked about bearing fruit and that God is the one that bears fruit in our life and through our life when we live a life of abiding in Him, that we cannot produce fruit on our own, but instead, this is God's work in us, that He bears fruit in us and through us when we live a life of abiding in Him. And so I love the story of the Good Samaritan. First of all, it's extremely challenging, but it also gives us such a clear picture of what it looks like to be used by God, to allow God to bear fruit through our life. Shows us what does it look like to abide in Christ by loving others, by showing God's compassion, grace, truth, and mercy to others. And when we look at the Gospels, when we look at the life of Jesus, we consistently see that He is interrupted a lot. As He's going in between people, as He's going in between events and cities, Jesus is interrupted quite often by those that are hurting, those that are sick, those that have questions, those that are seeking Him. And every single time, Jesus does not walk by them. He doesn't ignore them. He doesn't brush them aside or act like He doesn't even see them, but instead, He focuses attention on them. He gives them time. He listens to them. He speaks truth, grace, and mercy to them. He heals and restores. He takes those as opportunities to bring the gospel and the kingdom message of freedom in Christ into their lives. He doesn't see them as interruptions, but instead He sees them as opportunities that God has created for Him to minister, for Him to work, for Him to speak truth and life into their lives. And so the story of the Good Samaritan, as you are reading this story today in Luke 10, I want you to think about the response of the Samaritan, and I also want you to think about God's heart for the hurting and the lost. And we're going to ask God just that He would speak to you through this story, through the response of the Samaritan. And I want us to further ask God that He would show us who is hurting around us, who is in need around us, and how can we display God's truth, grace, and mercy to others? How can we see others' needs not as interruptions to our day, but instead as opportunities that God has created for the kingdom message to go to others, for us to speak grace, truth, and mercy to others today. Hope you have a great day, and we will see you on Sunday.